There's a particular kind of moment that almost everyone knows, even if we don't talk about it out loud. You're alone. Maybe it's late, maybe it's quiet, maybe you finally escaped the noise of the day and you reach for something. A screen, a snack, a conversation that isn't really a conversation, just a thread of attention, a fantasy, a memory, a person, something that promises a quick warmth inside you, like striking a match in a cold room. And for a second, it works. Your body says yes. Your mind gets bright. Your chest loosens just a little. You feel that small electric relief. Finally, something. Finally, a taste of aliveness. But then, sometimes immediately, sometimes a few minutes later, you notice the strange part. The feeling doesn't settle. It doesn't land. It doesn't complete itself. It keeps leaning forward, asking for the next click, the next bite, the next message, the next image, the next hit of more. And you can't always explain why. You just know you were trying to feel good, and somehow you're still hungry. That's where the real question begins, because what you're touching in that moment might be pleasure, or it might be lust. And I don't mean lust only in the obvious adult sense, though it includes that. I mean lust as a kind of inner reaching, the part of you that says, not this, something else, not now, more now, not enough, not enough. Lust is desire with urgency. It's desire that pulls you out of the present, even while it pretends to bring you into it. Pleasure is different. Pleasure is the body's ability to receive life without bargaining. It's the warmth of tea in your hands, the weight of a blanket, the softness of music that doesn't demand anything from you, the sweetness of touch that doesn't turn into a chase. Pleasure doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't need an audience. It doesn't always leave you wanting the next thing. Sometimes it leaves you with something rarer, a quiet sense of enough. But here's what makes it complicated and honest. We often confuse them. We call lust pleasure because lust sounds dangerous and pleasure sounds innocent. We call pleasure lust because we're afraid that receiving too much will make us weak, lazy, soft. We get tangled, and then we start living with a low-grade confusion inside us. We keep trying to feed the same hunger with the wrong kind of food. If you've ever felt that, if you've ever had something that tasted good but didn't satisfy you, if you've ever been pulled towards something while also feeling oddly empty in the pull, then this is for you. Not as a lecture, not as a moral judgment, just as a mirror. Because once you can tell pleasure from lust, you stop fighting yourself. You stop calling your desire a problem, and you stop calling your numbness normal. You start noticing what your attention is doing. You start hearing what your body is asking for beneath the noise, and you begin to recover something simple and powerful, the ability to choose. Before we go deeper, a small note: if this kind of conversation is your thing, you can gently support the channel by liking the video or subscribing. No pressure, just a quiet way to tell the algorithm, yes, more of this. And now, let's talk about the difference most people feel, but few people can name. I'm not here to tell you what you should want, or to turn desire into a courtroom where you're always on trial. This isn't a lecture, and it's definitely not a purity talk dressed up as philosophy. Think of it more like holding up a mirror in a kinder light, so you can see what's actually happening inside you when you reach for something, when you crave, when you indulge, when you chase. Because the goal isn't to shame lust or glorify pleasure. It's to recognize their different shapes in your own nervous system. Pleasure is often the part of you that can receive the present without needing it to become more, and lust is often the part of you that reaches forward, trying to turn the present into a promise. Once you can feel that difference, receiving versus reaching, you don't have to argue with yourself anymore. You can understand yourself, and that understanding is where real choice begins. Pleasure, in simple human terms, is what you feel when life meets you and your system stops bracing, when the body unclenches and the mind goes quiet enough to say, yes, this is good, without needing to turn it into a hunt. It can be small and still feel holy. Warm bread, cool water, a long exhale, the safety of being held, the soft happiness of music landing exactly where it should. Ancient thinkers kept pointing to this kind of pleasure, not as endless stimulation, but as a kind of inner peace. Epicurus ties happiness to the absence of physical pain and mental disturbance, and he's famously quoted via Seneca saying, "Do not add to his store of money, but subtract from his desires." Laozi puts the same wisdom in a single quiet line: "He who knows he has enough is rich." Lust, in simple emotional terms, is desire that has caught a fever. It doesn't just want to enjoy, it wants to take, to close the gap, to turn a person or a moment into a cure for an inner ache. It narrows your vision. Everything becomes charged, urgent, magnetic, so the mind starts running ahead of the heart, writing a story of, if I get this, I'll finally feel whole. Ancient wisdom describes that hunger with unsettling clarity. The Dhammapada says, from craving is born grief, from craving is born fear, pointing to the shadow that follows the chase. And in the Bhagavad Gita, lust is described as an enemy, never satisfied, burns like fire, because feeding it often doesn't calm it, it trains it to demand. If pleasure is the part of you that can receive the present and feel enough, then lust is the part of you that can't stop leaning forward. It's not that lust is evil or dirty, it's just hotter than pleasure, more restless, more directional. Pleasure settles into what's here. Lust turns what's here into a doorway to what could be next. It doesn't simply enjoy a body, a taste, a glance, a message. It starts chasing the feeling that the thing promises. And that's why lust can feel so alive and yet so unstable. It's desire mixed with urgency, attraction mixed with imagination, longing mixed with a subtle fear that if you don't grab the moment, you'll lose the chance to feel whole. You can feel lust in how it changes your attention. It narrows the world until one person, one image, one outcome becomes the center of gravity. Your mind starts editing reality. It highlights what it wants and blurs everything else. It builds a story faster than your heart can keep up. What this means, where this could go, how this could finally fix the ache you don't fully know how to name. And without noticing, you stop meeting life as it is and begin negotiating with it. If I get this, I'll be okay. If I'm chosen, I'll be enough. If I'm desired, I'll feel real. Lust isn't only wanting someone, it's wanting the feeling of being rescued through someone. That's the hidden tenderness inside lust too. Under the heat, there's often a sincere human wish to feel connected, to feel alive, to feel wanted, to feel safe from loneliness. Lust is life force trying to move, sometimes beautifully, sometimes blindly. But when you ask lust to carry the weight of your identity, it becomes a kind of hunger that can't be satisfied, because it isn't actually about the object. It's about the gap inside you that you're trying to close with sensation. And the tragedy is subtle. The more you feed it as a solution, the more you train your nervous system to believe that peace is always one step ahead, never here. Ancient wisdom noticed this long before modern life gave us 1,000 new ways to crave. The Dhammapada puts it in a line that feels almost surgical. From craving is born grief, from craving is born fear. Not because desire is wrong, but because craving, desire that believes it must be satisfied, makes the heart vulnerable to constant disturbance. And the Bhagavad Gita uses fire as the image. Lust appears as an eternal enemy, insatiable, burns like fire. Fire isn't immoral, it's powerful. But if you keep throwing fuel at it, hoping it will finally become warmth instead of hunger, you'll learn the hard lesson. Feeding doesn't always calm, it can also intensify. So when we talk about lust here, we're not condemning it. We're listening to it closely enough to tell what kind of force it is in you. Whether it's a clean surge of aliveness you can hold with awareness, or a frantic reaching that turns your attention into a leash. And once you start seeing lust this way, the next step becomes almost obvious. Watch what it does to your attention, because your attention is where freedom begins. Here's one of the cleanest ways to tell them apart. Pleasure tends to open you. Lust tends to aim you. In the body, pleasure is usually a softening. Your breath drops lower, your shoulders loosen, your face relaxes without you forcing it. There's warmth, a spreading ease, a sense that your body is inhabiting itself rather than performing. You feel more inside your skin. Even when pleasure is intense, it often has a roundness to it, like waves that rise and fall. It doesn't demand that you tense around it. It makes you more receptive to touch, to taste, to sound, to silence. Lust has a different signature. It sharpens and tightens. The breath gets a little higher. The jaw sets. The stomach pulls in. The pelvis and chest can feel charged, but not necessarily relaxed. It's not always uncomfortable. Lust can feel thrilling, but it's focused like a spear, not spread like sunlight. The body leans forward, even if you're sitting still. There's a subtle sense of almost, like you're one step away from relief, one step away from completion, and your system is bracing to get it. In the mind, pleasure is comparatively quiet. Thoughts don't need to multiply. You're not negotiating, proving, or planning. The moment is allowed to be what it is. The mind becomes simple. This is good. There's more space between thoughts, more room for presence. Lust, though, is a storyteller. It recruits imagination. It starts drafting outcomes, rehearsing scenes, anticipating reactions, comparing, escalating. It creates a tunnel of attention where one thing looks like the key to your mood, your worth, your aliveness. And that's the psychological tell. Pleasure lets you stay with what you feel. Lust keeps pulling you toward what you could get. Neither of these states makes you a better or worse person. They're just different inner climates. But when you learn their weather patterns, how your breath behaves, how your muscles hold, how your thoughts move, you stop guessing. You can name what's happening while it's happening. And naming it is powerful because it gives you a choice before the chase begins. In old Buddhist stories, there's a monk named Nanda who is pulled between two kinds of yes. He becomes a monk, but his mind keeps running back to the woman he loves, so much that he admits he can't hold the path anymore. The Buddha doesn't scold him. Instead, he meets Nanda where his mind is. He takes him on a vision journey, first showing him a scorched, mutilated monkey in a burned field, then showing him dazzling celestial nymphs in heaven, and asking which beauty Nanda prefers. Nanda's desire, so loyal a moment ago, switches targets instantly. The Buddha even promises those nymphs as a reward if Nanda practices sincerely. But the story turns on what happens next. Nanda becomes embarrassed when other monks mock him as someone practicing for nymphs, and something in him wakes up, the realization that lust is not love and not happiness. Lust is a mind that can be hijacked by whatever shines brighter. So he trains, he stays, he goes deeper than the bargain. And when he finally tastes freedom, steady, quiet, unborrowed happiness, he returns to the Buddha and says, in effect, I don't need that promise anymore. The Buddha answers with the core lesson, even as rain breaks through an ill-thatched house, so lust breaks through an ill-trained mind. In other words, lust isn't defeated by getting what it wants. It's outgrown by a mind that becomes whole enough not to be ruled by wanting. So here's the quiet truth to take with you. Your life is shaped less by what you want and more by how you want it. Pleasure is the art of letting goodness arrive and actually land in you, without turning every sweetness into a staircase to the next sweetness. Lust is the fire that can light you up, but it can also burn through you when you ask it to fill a hole it was never meant to fill. The difference isn't moral, it's visceral. One softens you into the moment, the other tightens you toward an outcome. One leaves a clean warmth behind. The other can leave you reaching for another match. The next time desire visits, whether it comes as attraction, craving, ambition, or the itch to be chosen, don't panic and don't obey it blindly. Just pause long enough to listen, feel what it does to your breath. Notice what it does to your mind. Ask the simplest question that changes everything. Am I receiving life right now? Or am I trying to be rescued from myself? Because the moment you can tell the difference, you're no longer dragged, you're awake. And an awake person doesn't need to kill desire to be free. They only need to stop letting desire drive unconsciously. If this helped you name something you felt for a long time, keep it close. Come back to it when the world gets loud and your hunger starts pretending it's love. And if you want more reflections like this, you already know where to find the channel.